There's a lot of alternative brick sets out there these days, but are some of them actually better than Lego? Well, I just got done building a whole bunch of these CaDa kits, so let's find out. So first one I want to talk about is the 1/8 scale Alfa Romeo F1 car. So this is built in a Technic style, if it's not already immediately apparent. And I would say this has the closest competitor to the Lego McLaren F1 car in the Technic version they released. Now, I'm not a big Technic person normally. I don't put together a lot of Technic sets, so this one was kind of a challenge for me because it was a building style I'm not used to doing. But what kind of made me gravitate towards this car in the first place was the fact that not only do they use a Technic style to build this car, but they also, if you can see, implement a lot of brick-built designs into the car itself, so that helps give it a much more organic shape, I feel. And I've looked at both the McLaren offering from Lego, and I've looked at this one up close now that I've had a chance to build it. And, you know, one of the things I've never really been a fan of Technic is just because it usually has that more mechanical feel to it, so like certain details just kind of get lost in the design. I know that's a big drawing point for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people actually enjoy it, being able to see the mechanics and everything work, but sometimes the shape just doesn't seem to, the end product just doesn't seem to, I don't know, give enough detail on some of the models that they're trying to capture. Like, it just seems like they can't quite complete it in a way that makes it seem close enough to the actual design they're trying to represent. So I really applaud what CaDa's done here in implementing the use of actual studs and bricks with the Technic pieces to kind of help make the design just like actually resemble the actual car that they were trying to model after. I also really like the fact that they've used these smooth Pirelli tires. So like on the Lego McLaren, they use like a hubcap cover and just to simulate the Pirelli logo and all that stuff. And CaDa went the extra step here, and they've made not only a wheel and tire package, but they've also made two for this set. So the wheels are actually staggered. So this is a little narrower up front. These are wider in the rear. So they actually had to make two different rims and two different tires for this car. And I know that sometimes Lego doesn't, like to use specialty parts for individual kits because it makes, like, they have the system in place, and they want to try and use as few elements as possible to make their kits. But with a smaller company like CaDa, I really feel that they can do that. And I really think it actually benefits the end product a lot. So, it's just that little extra step of realism that I think really sets this apart. Now, in a Technic fashion, it does have an operational differential, and it does have working suspension. So if you press down, both the front and rear, they are spring-loaded. There is, if you open up the little, or you can kind of see the little compartment in there, there is a V6 engine that has the pistons that actually move up and down. The steering does actually articulate left and right, and you can actually move it from the steering wheel in the cockpit. So they do carry on that Technic functionality. Like I said, Technic is not a big interest of mine, so this was kind of a challenging build for me just because it involves a lot of pins and a lot of pieces. And one thing I have noticed about CaDa in general is when it comes to their bricks or their Technic pins, they kind of go together a little bit harder than an actual Lego brick. So you have to apply a little bit more force in some cases. So by the end of building this, my fingers were absolutely just like shredded from having to insert all those pins. But I think the end result is absolutely worth it. I mean, it's a beautiful model, and I think it looks far and away better than the Lego McLaren So I really got to applaud them that they got the design down really well for this model. They have it completely liveried with accurate stickers. So since it was officially licensed, they were able to go in and get all the partnership stickers for this. But that is probably one of the few drawback points I would say to this model in general. They did use a clear sticker sheet for everything. And one of the things I've noticed in building several CaDa models over the years is when they use clear, the white, when they print it, becomes a little translucent on the surface you're applying it to. And I really wish for a set of this caliber, they would have used a white sticker base and then just printed it in color. I know that's probably way more expensive, but this is not a cheap model. So this is a $150 kit, which is comparable to an actual Lego kit in terms of price. So for something as, a dynamic a scale as this, I really wish they would have, gone that extra step, because they went that extra mile on everything else. I mean, like the packaging itself is beautiful. It's designed inside and out. They have that beautiful instruction booklet. I'll grab it right here. So, I mean, beautiful instruction booklet, and right on the inside, they've got full color photography of the actual car in several instances. They've got a bio of the driver, and some information, specs about the car and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's really comparable. And then they have like this, what I call like a CAD drawing or something like that of the pieces they were designing. So, I mean, you can tell that they put a lot of effort into making this product. And so it's really kind of disappointing to see the stickers be the shortcoming, I guess, when everything else, like I said, the inside of the package is nice and designed. It's got, that beautiful simplistic. It mirrors that Lego style for their adult fans with that black background, which really makes that ruby and white pop for the Alfa Romeo. The box is embossed like they do on all of their kits, which I think is a really nice touch. Like I said, they put a lot of effort into creating all the details and getting so much of it right. And when it, like I said, when that red just kind of bleeds through on the white of the stickers, they were so close to making this like 100% perfect. And even then, I would still say that they have absolutely outdone Lego on this set. Just a side-by-side comparison, just those little extra details, even with the stickers, which are, I would say roughly a 6 out of 10 for this attempt. I mean, in every other respect, this is just far and beyond what Lego has offered. So I'm really happy to see something of this caliber come out from an alternative brick company. It just means, I mean, what it means for us Lego fans, as the hobby progresses, is that there'll just be more and more offerings for us, more things to choose from, which, choice is never a bad thing. And it's great to see that we have, companies that can offer us compatible pieces and, and oftentimes different designs that we normally wouldn't get from just a single supplier. And then one of the things I really enjoyed too is they have this display plaque, and when Lego does all their like Ultimate Collector Series sets, this is normally just a big sticker, but this plate itself was manufactured like specific, and so like all of the details are raised, and you can feel it's an embossment. It's printed. I mean, it's just a really, really nice display card. Like, you built one of these more expensive models, just having little details like this, it just shows a little extra effort. And again, I'm just, actually for somebody who's not, normally a Technic fan, I was absolutely blown away by just the level of detail they were able to capture and stuff like that. So really, my complaints are pretty minuscule when it comes to it. I mean, definitely when you're up close, you can tell the stickers are a little bit of a shortcoming, but when you've got it displayed and you're 4 or 5 feet away from it, you really can't even tell. Like I said, that even then up close, it's not that big a deal. But just one of those things, like, once they get that right, I mean, I think they'll just be almost on par, if not above, you know, regular Lego offerings, which is really cool to see. You know, the smaller company really upping their game to bring you, you know, these really well designed and unique sets. I mean, this isn't, you know, a lot of times from like alternative brick sources, you see basically just copies of existing Lego kits. And I mean, this is something new. This is something like, if you're an F1 fan, or if you're a Sauber, you know, motorsports fan, this is something unique that you could put in your collection that you can't get anywhere else, that you couldn't get from another Lego manufacturer. So it really shows that they're trying to do their own thing, and I really applaud that, you know. And even from underneath, you know, they've modeled like the arrow, and they really do a pretty good job of trying to hide all of the Technic elements, you know, front and rear. I mean, it's enough where you can tell that that's the style of the build that they were using, but I mean, that they hide it so beautifully with there's just additional extras. And like, and again, I'm just still blown away by these like printed rims that they came out with, and the Pirelli tires. Like, just the fact that they had to mold these specific pieces just for this set. I mean, whether that's, you know, you can argue that's good or bad, but really, if this is what you're trying to buy, this is something you'd like to see, you know. I mean, this is a collector grade piece. It should have something special that, you know, warrants the price of these. And like I said, at $150, it's not cheap. And so I'm glad to see that they've put in a lot of effort to try and make this just as phenomenal as possible. So that one, I think we've sufficiently covered that, but I'm going to give this one a better grade than regular Lego, to be honest. I mean, comparatively, apples to apples, if you compare the offering right now, which you can get, which is the McLaren version, I mean, regardless of your preference for whichever team, I just think the design and execution of this kit is better than the one that's currently offered by Lego. So let me set this giant thing down here somewhere. Move this off. All right, so if $150 is just a little bit too rich for your taste, they have a smaller version. And this is, I would say, on the Speed Champions scale, it is $22 versus $150. Now, the interesting thing with this one is they actually used white stickers, so they had to print the color, you know, and these aren't transparent stickers. And it's weird to see that they did it for this one, because this is the cheaper one, and I think the actual sticker, like the livery, actually comes out better. Now, that being said, there is still some faults with the sticker printing process here. So the reds, the maroon, aren't quite as dark as the actual bricks, and the blacks actually have a grayish tint to them. But again, even when you're close to it, once it's applied to the actual base, it's not that bad. So even with the color variance on the stickers, I still would have rather have seen them use this method on the big model versus the clear sticker alternative. Really straightforward build. Actually a pretty enjoyable build, to be honest. It's kind of weird because they're not rims. So what they've actually done is they've printed actual tires. They are directionally grooved, which is kind of cool. But they move independently from the rim, so they kind of spin there, but the rim doesn't move, which is kind of cool in its own right. So you can kind of line up the aero discs whichever way you want. The one drawback I had with this kit is the P0 Pirelli on the tires isn't printed. It's a sticker, and it is a major pain of a sticker because they do not want to stick to the rubber. I ended up having to use I used like basically a degreaser, kind of a de-wax or degreaser chemical to kind of clean up the tire. after I built the set, and then from there I then tried to apply the stickers, and even then I still get a lot of bubbles, but they are actually sticking down versus just pulling right back up. So if you do go this route, I do recommend trying to find some kind of chemical where you can kind of wash the rubber first, get some of the contaminants off, degrease it, whatever you need to do. And if you're going to be using this as a play model, just know that the Pirelli stickers are probably going to fall off at some point. It's to be determined right now if long-term display, if they will come loose, but they've been sitting this way for about a week now, and they're still on there just fine. So hopefully that isn't an issue going forward, but I will keep an eye on this one. This is actually going to be a gift for somebody, so hopefully it holds up really well. And again, one of the nice things that they've done for this set is they have a little plaque tile for the mini one on a mini plaque here. And again, this is a printed piece. It's fully embossed with the actual car image on it. So again, nice little touch, in lieu of having like a minifigure, which I believe minifigures are still a proprietary staple of Lego. So I think the brick patent itself has expired, which is why you're seeing an influx of so many different manufacturers making Lego compatible elements these days. But I do believe the minifigure is still a patent hold. So that's why none of these sets actually contain any minifigures, but they are, everything is still fully compatible with it. So, if you wanted to add one, they still have the little slot for you to do so. So that gives you a nice spread between the $150 and $20 sets. And then the last ones I built are these two right here. So these are a continuation of their Japanese modulars, I think is the best way to describe them. So this one right here is the Japanese style canteen, and this one is what they're calling the Kitty's Grocery Store, which it's just cat themed, I guess. So you have cat themed stickers. You got a couple cats on the in and outside the store windows, which is kind of neat. But we'll start with this one right here. So comparatively, if you saw any of my other videos, we have incorporated into the initial D diorama. So we have like the steam bun shop, the coffee shop, and down here in this one there's the Japanese tea house as well. So this is actually number 4 and 5 in the series that they've created. I would say this time around these aren't quite as detailed as the first 3. I think the first 3 were commissioned through a actual mock designer, and he did a phenomenal job. So while these are still really good, they're just not quite at the same level of the last 3 that it came out. But there's still plenty of good features, like this side opens up so you can see the interior here. The doors still move open and stuff like that. One of my gripes with this kit in particular is while there is an upstairs, there's no stair access. So in theory, if you had minifigures in here, there's no way they could actually access these. So it's more of just an aesthetic look. Other than that, I don't mind the design. It's a pretty cute design, and they styled it front and rear, which I really like that they, make sure all sides of the buildings they design are well designed. One thing I really do like about this building series, in comparison with a lot of Lego buildings, is each one of them comes with these little LED strings, so they all have settings, so you can scroll through the different settings here. You have like the little ones that flash for slow, kind of dim off and on, strobe, and they offer these for a variety of kits, which is why they aren't just like static on all the time. There is one setting that allows them to just be on. Let me just scroll through, and then it will just be on like that. So then you can have all of your designs lit up, whether it's on a shelf or if you've got yourself a modular city going. You can individually light up all your buildings without incurring any additional costs. And if you've ever had to light up your mock buildings, you know that can get really expensive really quick. So like when I did it with the initial D City, I probably have $200 to $300 in just like lighting and accessories, which is crazy. And then for my bottom one, I just used all of these provided CaDa ones with a USB port hub, so to save myself some money. And that was actually a good idea on my part, because I try and save money where you can. The one thing I don't like about these is I wish they had a simplified version that they can include with these that just puts them on, or at the very least only has like a couple settings. Scrolling through, especially when the static on function is like the last one in the series, it gets kind of old, going through and changing them every time you turn it on. The other thing I don't really care for is you can't, it's really hard to plug them in side by side because they're a little bulky. But it can be done, and I just wish they maybe had a better way to daisy chain these together. Maybe they would make the plug like semi-universal or something like that, where you could plug them into each other and then into a source or something like that. It's kind of a minor complaint, and I realize they probably can't make individual lighting kits for each one without it getting super expensive. So there's not really a whole lot to say about this one. It's a great little additional building. It's not a world-changing building, but it's certainly going to be great to add into your collection. Now, the cat bookstore, or the cat grocery store, I guess, sorry, I like because there's a lot more functional movement. Like this opens up, that retracts, the whole balcony moves with this one, so it actually moves in and out, and it shows off there's a little koi pond, and that's a big sticker. CaDa's not afraid to use big stickers with their kits, and as much as Lego stickers up anything else, it actually doesn't bother me, especially if it actually, if it achieves what they're trying to do with the design. It doesn't bother me at all. This one actually opens up fully in the bottom, and there's a whole grocery store in there. You can see the whole interior. So that back opens completely up, so you can see it. They have the nice AC systems all wired up. Then this one actually has trees growing out the side. So this one was actually a lot more fun for me to build. Oh, and this slides one side or the other, so there's a lot more functionality with this kit. There is actually a ladder system to get up to the second floor, so I think of the two, this was my favorite one to build, and this was the favorite design of mine. I would say this is probably a corner building, because it's probably going to be pretty hard to, you can't really butt these ones up like you can traditional modulars. But on a corner system, I think this would be actually a really good installation. The nice thing about these ones is these are only $66 each. So in terms of a modular style building, they're fairly cheap, and they're always about roughly 1,000 pieces. So you do get quite a few pieces for your money, which is nice. Again, no minifigures, but it's completely if you have some in your collection, it's completely compatible with those. And it's, versus a traditional modular, why would you want to have these? I enjoyed them because I was putting together my initial D diorama, and then I built a Japanese scenescape. But these, I think, would also fit well if you had a Ninjago themed city that you were trying to build. Those big Ninjago city pieces are all X tall, and they're huge, but you could put those maybe in front of them and make the city a little deeper, give it some more depth. And I think these sets would be perfect for that. Or if you had any kind of interest at all in just the Japanese architecture, they're just kind of neat little pieces to pick up. They do offer some modular-esque style buildings, I would say, from CaDa. Like I said, I'll link everything in the description below, so if you want to check these out for yourself, you can feel more than welcome to. But this is kind of what, you know, interests me, just because it's something different that you don't see from anybody else. And, you know, I think when you start seeing everybody's modular cities coming together, they all start to kind of look the same. So having some different building options to kind of differentiate your own cities might be an idea for you to pick up some of these too. So I do enjoy this series, and I really hope they continue with it. It'd be interesting to see what kind of sets they can make from here. Maybe they do like some kind of like garage or something like that, or an office building. It'll be neat to see. So I'll continue to support this series here, just because for my own interests, I just think these buildings are kind of unique, and I really enjoy the different techniques they put into them. So even while I don't think these are the most technical of the 5 that they've put together, these are still really, really solid, and they're worth it for anybody who's getting into this series. So I'll go ahead and shut these off, push these back to the side. Where would I rate these, though, in terms of being on par with Lego? I would say, again, like, you know, some of the stickers I think are a little cheesy. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of like this tower on the build here. They used big clear stickers to give the brick like architecture look, and it works. You know, it works just fine. It's just kind of, I don't know, a little chintzy in my opinion for this one. Again, this wasn't my favorite build of all time, but I think the stickers, even when they use the transparent ones on here, they don't bother me as much as I say like the big F1 car. So I think they're really good value for money. I found that the colors are completely, like, they completely match with the rest of my genuine Lego pieces. So they're really easy to incorporate. The building instructions are really good. You just have to make sure you pay attention. They do sometimes tend to cram a lot of steps into, like, a lot of pieces are put together in one step. So it's kind of easy if you're not paying attention to miss a step or miss a piece. So whereas, like, I think Lego has, you know, a team that puts a lot of thought into their instruction process, you know, to make sure it's easy to follow. While these are really good, they're not quite on that level. So, I mean, as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing, it's not an issue. You'll finish your project just fine. You may have to go back once or twice in a step. I've had to do that before. It's easy to do. But if you're paying attention, like I said, you'll notice it before you get too far away and have to tear something apart. So that's I would say, an area they are probably trying to look to improve, or at least I hope they're looking to improve that. But the colors, the compatibility are straight on par with Lego. I would put these next to a Lego piece any day, and not, you know, I would mix these into my bucket. In fact, if I just wanted to kit bash something, then I wouldn't even feel bad about it, because the pieces I think are phenomenal. They're right on the level where they need to be, which is awesome. In terms of design, again, I really applaud CaDa for trying to branch out and do their own thing. So you know, while there's sometimes similar comparisons, they're not direct comparisons. They're not rip-offs of an actual Lego product. They're trying to do something different. They add so much to the marketplace because they're giving us as collectors a variety. So I would say these kits they're on par with what you can buy today from a traditional Lego. It's just a matter of preference. Again, I think there is a few pieces, like Technic pins and whatever, they don't quite have the grip quite figured out yet. So sometimes they get a little loose. Sometimes the pieces are a little tight to put on. But overall, I've been impressed with the quality and the color that comes out with each of them. And I think they're only going to get better over time. So that's encouraging. And I've also, you know, I know Lego itself has had problems with piece discoloration, or like brown being a particular weak point for them. I haven't had any brittle pieces. I haven't had any broken pieces yet. And I haven't noticed any color variation between pieces, so that whoever they're using to put their molds together does a really good job setting the colors. Like I've noticed in a couple kits, I'm trying to remember which Lego kits in particular. I think it was like the Mini Cooper, I want to say. that I had where the greens in some instances were different shades. So I mean, color variance isn't a unique problem to like off-brand. You know, Lego itself has done it. Has been a perpetrator of that crime many times. So it's been really nice to see that sets, you know, have fluid color all the way through. So it means whoever's in charge of their molding process is on top of it. So that's a good sign. And like I said, even between the official Lego and the CaDa brand, like grays, greens, tans, I can put them up directly to an official Lego brick and they will match 100% in most cases. And in some cases, I think there might be a slight variance, but again, it would be no different if you would just get one, you know, a different Lego batch where sometimes they don't even match up with each other. So I would say now these kits are on par with what you can buy from Lego. And, you know, if it's something, if you're wanting to try it, if you think that these sets would be an addition to what you're collecting, I'd say definitely go for it, you know. But if the themes just don't match up with what you're wanting, or if you're just a strict Lego fan, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here, but it's nice and encouraging to see that, you know, Lego, it seems like in general is going towards more official licensed themes. And some of us, you know, if you don't care for the theme that they're putting out or they're trying to promote, you know, you may get left behind. So it's nice to see some of these other companies are picking up some slack and giving Lego fans the chance to build different things that Lego itself may not focus on just because of like lack of widespread appeal. So I would consider these buildings kind of a niche interest series, and I hope more companies actually start, you know, picking up this banner and coming out with niche products like this, because I think there's definitely a market for it. And where Lego may, you know, shortchange some collectors, maybe these companies can find a specialty and they can pick up that slack. But definitely, if you're interested, I'm going to link everything down below. And I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with all of these now. I think I'm going to hold on to these for now. I'm thinking I'm going to actually gift the Alfa Romeos for Christmas for a few friends of mine, so hopefully they'll enjoy those. But that's it for now. So if you have any questions, post them down in the comments below. Make sure you like and share this video. It really helps with the algorithm. And if you want to help support the channel, you can always check out marlonthemiata.com. But until then, I will just see you guys in the next video.